Okay, we are back at it this month. Welcome to Money Diaries, where together we navigate all the ups and downs of life and money, one decision at a time. With every episode, we get closer to answering the ultimate question, which is how do we use our money to design a life of freedom and fulfillment? And I don't have all the answers, but every month, Money Diaries is my attempt to figure out the answer to this question. Now, it's halfway through the year. We are in July, which means it's a perfect time to reevaluate our priorities, see where we're at in life and if we are getting where we want to go, and just do a little reset. When I sat down to review my spending for the last 12 months, I realized that I was not happy with a few things and really wanted to recalibrate. The main thing is that I was paying way too much for housing. If you actually look at my spending breakdown for the last 12 months, I paid close to $65,000 in rent alone, which is crazy to me because up till now, I don't think I've ever paid more than $2,000 a month for rent. And this last year, moving to LA, I got myself a really bougie, nice apartment right on the beach and got used to paying $5,000 a month in rent. And yes, I know the spending number looks really high, $216,000. $65,000 of that was rent. And I did put away a bunch towards investing and retirement accounts and savings. So that wasn't all just spending. But still, just looking at this number just gave me a little bit of sticker shock. I really realized that lifestyle inflation is a real thing. Last month is actually when my lease expired and I had the choice to either move out or renew. And I decided that I wanted to find a cheaper place to live in order to have more freedom, to not spend $65,000 a year in rent. That's money that could go towards a down payment on a house or just so many other fun things. With monthly rent of $5,000, if you look at my monthly average spending, which YNAB does a really good job of summarizing in a visual way, my average monthly spending was $16,000. And yes, that does include savings and investments, which I did a lot of. But even if you remove anything I did towards savings and retirement goals, my average monthly spending was $11,000, almost $12,000. And this really started getting me into this sort of stressful state where I felt like because my expenses are so high, I need to keep making lots of money to support that lifestyle. And because making YouTube videos and creating content is my main source of income at the moment, I was feeling a lot of restriction in my creative freedom. When I look back on all the videos I've made on this channel, my favorite videos are the ones where I wasn't worried about making money or getting views with those videos. It's the van life vlogs or the ones where I'm just riffing about life. And I want to have more freedom to be able to do that instead of worrying about how to pay my bills. So that really is the big reasoning behind my desire to lower my rent and move to a cheaper place. The other reason is I also want more freedom to just have more fun. Rather than spending all this money on rent, I would rather put that money towards other things like going sailing around the world. This is a bucket life dream that my boyfriend and I have. We don't know how it's gonna look exactly, but it's definitely gonna cost money because sailboats are not cheap. One of you guys left this comment on the last episode of Money Diaries. My husband and I quit our jobs and backpacked around the world for a year when we were 30 years old before having kids. We never regretted it. Many wonderful lifelong memories. Now we're 60 years old and thankful that we did all that traveling while we were young. Y'all, goes to show, looking back on their life, no one ever regrets having had more fun and spent money on creating unforgettable memories. Sarah, thank you for that comment because when I read that, what I realized is when I look back on my life, am I going to be more glad that I spent all this money on a bougie, nice apartment on the beach? Or am I going to be happier that I spent that money on creating unforgettable memories like sailing around the world with my boyfriend? Yeah, I don't think anyone's ever gonna look back and say, damn, I wish I'd spent more money on rent. So it's due time to recalibrate my finances and make sure that my money is going towards creating the life that I actually wanna live. When looking for a place, my top criteria was obviously rent. I wanted to pay no more than $3,000 a month. So when you look at budget categories, I actually group everything into needs, financial goals, and wants. Needs includes rent. That would be all of this stuff. Wants are everything that is just for fun. Financial goals is everything I put towards savings and investments. And so the overall budget breakdown is 55% needs, 26% financial goals, and 19% wants. This is pretty spot on with the budgeting allocations I recommend in my book, Add a Zero, where I go in depth into how to budget in chapter 5. So it's good to see that I'm following my own advice. But I also knew that in the coming year, my income is going to drop because I have spent the last year and a half writing and launching a book, and I'm tired and I want to take a bit of a break, which means in order to stick with my 50, 30, 20 budgeting allocations, I would have to lower my rent. I generally recommend that you spend no more than 30% of your net pay every single month on housing. So if my income goes down to $100,000, I'd want to keep my rent to right around $30,000. So just eyeballing here, $3,000 a month is kind of where my budget was. And I also wanted to find something that was close to the beach. Makes such a difference for my mental and physical health. I can do without laundry in unit. I can do with really old bathrooms and kitchens, but being close to the beach is something I did not want to compromise on. So we needed to find something that would check off all these boxes. My partner was willing to pay up to $2,000 in rent, so that gave us a budget of $5,000. And the way we approached this is every single day I would check for listings on Zillow and apartments.com. But it was really challenging because in January, after the California wildfires, it was really hard to find affordable housing. There were plenty of options for apartments that were close to the beach, but then they were over our budget, or if they were perfect for us, they didn't have the parking that we needed. And we needed a lot of parking. I have a camper van, my boyfriend has a car, we have 2 teardrop trailers, and we have a crazy dog that likes to run around. So really the only thing that would have worked for us was a house with a backyard. And there are no houses close to the beach for under $8,000, which is already way out of our budget. There was literally nothing coming up. So I was about to give up. I was about to move into my van and just forget the idea of ever living with my boyfriend and having a place that had everything we need. Until one day, a friend of ours called and said he had a bunch of friends who were living together, who were moving out of their house, and it was the perfect house for us, and we could move into that house. Y'all, this was a 3-bedroom house, 10-minute bike ride from the beach in Santa Monica, and it was under $5,000 and it had a huge backyard. If we did not get this house, the only solution would be to find a house in the valley, which to me felt like being exiled because all of my friends and all the cool, fun stuff that I like to do was here on the west side close to the beach. And besides, if I'm paying California taxes and I'm not living close to the beach, then what am I doing? That was kind of my take. So this house was our only hope, but oh my God, there were so many ups and downs. One minute, our friend was like, yes, you can move into that house. And then a couple weeks later, he calls and says, actually, someone else is going to move into that house. And there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of like talking through middlemen because it was a friend of a friend whose house we were trying to get. Let's just say it was the most nerve-wracking month of my life. Not to mention, I'm right in the middle of launching a book. It's coming out September 2nd. And it was just a really stressful time to be moving. But of course, I had this vision in mind of having a place that I'm living in with my partner and it works for my budget and it's not a financial strain. So we kept the faith, and through all the ups and downs and drama, I am happy to say that at the end, we ended up getting this amazing house. So here's the setup. There's 3 bedrooms in this house. One of them is for me and Cez to live in, and my boyfriend agreed to pay for that. He's paying $1,350. We have another room where a good friend of ours is going to be our roommate and pay $1,350. And then the third room, which is the biggest, is actually going to be my office, and I'll be paying $1,800. The office is actually the room that I'm sitting in now. And this worked out really nicely because this works out for each of our budgets. It's well under my budget. I get my own personal office. We get to have a huge backyard. Jupiter gets to run around free. This house is 10 minutes bike ride from the beach, which, yes, I'm spoiled. It's no longer walking distance to the beach. But hey, everything in life is about a trade-off, right? I'm okay biking instead of walking to the beach if my rent can go down from $5,000 to $1,800 a month. So I'm actually recording this July 8th. It's already been a couple days and a bunch of July transactions have already gone through. So that's why I have some negative sort of overspent categories because I didn't assign my income to any categories yet, and then transactions already went through. So I'm going to go ahead and cover these for now so that I don't have anything in the zero. I'll assign 40 here. Anything in the negative. Okay, so that covers all my overspending. Now let's actually give all of the rest of these dollars jobs, because that's the point of budgeting, right? And there's a lot of expenses flying around in the month of July, because when you move, there's a lot of money that you need to spend. I'm also going on a trip to Europe. We're gonna go to Tomorrowland. That's been on the bucket list for a long time. So a lot of expenses and priorities going on. So I really wanna make sure I am planning for all of this. The way I approach this is I always try to allocate my money to my most pressing needs and bills first. So obviously one of them is rent. My rent is $1,800. I have $100 allocated already. So I'm going to add $1,700 so that I have $1,800 ready for August 1st when that rent is due. A lot of these categories are bills that I need to pay every single month, such as utilities and groceries. That's something I spend on every day. Some of these other categories are more like sinking funds, where I'm setting a little bit of money aside every single month so that if and when that irregular, unpredictable expense comes up, I already have money sort of stockpiled in preparation of that expense. That's really the key to good budgeting. One perfect example is my Jupiter category. This is where I set aside a little bit of money every month, not only for his food, but also for potential vet bills. And this actually came in handy the other day when Jupiter snorted a foxtail through his nose, and I had to pay $850 to get that extracted at the vet. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and fund all of these categories. I already set up my budgeting app to kind of do all this automatically. So with the click of a button, I can go ahead and allocate a bunch of money to all of these categories. And then also for once, I might cut back a little on this area, because for travel, I already have $730 set aside for my Europe trip, and that should be more than enough because flights are already paid for. My boyfriend is covering a bunch of other things. So I'm just going to allocate $200 each to hobbies and eating out. Now, the category where I'm really going to have to be honest with myself is home decor. I just moved. I want my place to look cute. There's a lot of things I want to buy to make this place as aesthetic as I envision in my mind and on my Pinterest boards. So initially, I wasn't planning to budget anything for home decor, but just really thinking about it, I'm going to want to spend probably at least $500 in the home decor category. I will do my best to stick to that budget. And so that doesn't leave that much other money left to spend on other things, let alone contribute to my retirement accounts. And I'm going to allocate the rest of this to my just for fun category. Great. So when all of my money is assigned, that's when I know I've given every dollar a job. And my goal for the rest of this month is to make sure all the dollars that I've given jobs to actually do the jobs that I wanted them to do. The main thing here that I'm going to have to watch out for is to make sure I don't overspend in the home decor category. But I guess I'll keep you posted on that next month. Other updates, such as with my investments, I've decided to sell my 2 rental properties in Vegas because I'm thinking that the real estate market is quite high right now, so it could be a good time to sell. There's so much uncertainty in the world right now, and it would just give me a lot of peace of mind to have liquid cash in savings so that I could either jump on opportunities like buying stocks cheap if there's a crash, or just having extra money to cover any emergencies that come up. And not only that, but these Vegas rental properties have given me such a hard time in the 3 years that I've owned them. So lesson for anyone who wants to buy a rental property, if the house has a pool, you better get ready for extra maintenance costs. Having a pool is a pain in the ass. I have had to learn more about pool coatings, piping, heaters, pool filters, machinery, and pool maintenance more than I ever wanted to know. And that's something that I did not bargain for when I first bought rental properties. So selling these 2 rental properties is a move towards having more peace of mind and potentially a simpler life by having simpler, more hands-off investments, such as stocks and index funds. So what are my takeaways for this month of Money Diaries? First and foremost, if you want to create a little more financial freedom in your life right now, the number one place to look is lowering your housing expenses. In my book, At a Zero, I talk about the importance of watching your big three: housing, transportation, and food. If you optimize these big three and make sure you're not overspending and overpaying for just these big three expenses, you don't have to worry about scrimping and saving every penny in other areas of your life. You can go ahead and add that $3 guacamole add-on at Chipotle and not feel guilty about it because your big three expenses are covered. So I'm really happy that I have so much more breathing room in this area, having reduced my rent from $5,000 to $1,800 a month, so that I'll be more free to make creative pivots in my business and not worry about the financial consequences. I'm more free to enter a season of less work and more play and hustle a little bit less. That is my major takeaway. Whatever compromise you might have to make to recalibrate your finances, if it gets you more freedom, it's worth it. Last but not least, the most important takeaway is to spend the money on pantry organizers. I got all of these baskets for under $100 and my pantry is looking amazing. All right, so that's it for this month of Money Diaries. Let me know what you thought in the comments, what you'd like me to discuss more of in future episodes of Money Diaries. And in the meantime, stay tuned for next month's episode where I'm gonna have an update for you on what it looks like to start sharing your finances with a partner when you move in together for the first time. I have a really good budgeting system in my YNAB, and this has served me very well so far living alone, but I'm probably gonna have to rework my budget to incorporate living with a partner and having shared expenses. So stay tuned for that next month. Let me know what you thought of this video and of the Money Diaries series in general. Say hi in the comments because I read every single one, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.